Well, joining us now from Washington is retired U.S. Brigadier General Peter Zwack. He is the Senior Russia-Eurasia Fellow from the Institute for National Strategic Studies, and that is a part of the National Defense University. He has also served as Defense Attaché to the U.S. Embassy in Russia. So, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Zwack. First, as an initial encounter, how would you rate this meeting between the two leaders?
Obviously, there is a lot to be troubled by, but I'm going to take a broad view and I'm going to work and look at the defense and security aspects of it. They need to have some type of relationship because nothing positive will come and improve between our nations without some type of rudder steer, if you will, from the two presidents. I'm one that absolutely and utterly believes that our electoral system was hacked in 2016. And for me, that's unambiguous because I'm an intelligence officer in background, and I trust those people of consequence that made that assessment. I wish right up front that there had been a much stronger, if you will, démarche put down. Saying that, they need to have a relationship because the world right now is too fraught without such. We are in a dangerous space. And what I'm hoping is that this discussion of potential expert groups on key withered regimes like arms control and the situation in Syria and Ukraine need to be addressed.
And now, Mr. Zwack, you were saying that in terms of your background with an intelligence background, we saw how the U.S. president responded when he was very specifically asked about the indictments, for example, of those 12 Russian military officers in relation to the meddling of the U.S. election. When you heard him, in fact, call it all nonsense and essentially not really back up the findings of the intelligence community in the U.S., how did you find that? How did you react to that?
I'm not going to get into the politics of it all. I disagree. Again, people of consequence made that assessment, and they would not lie on something so important. So yeah, I'm troubled by it, quite troubled by it.
Now, you also made mention here that you do believe there needs to be some dialogue between the two countries in order for improving relations and the issues that exist between the two nations. So in that sense, do you believe that this meeting, this summit, and then that press conference that followed could in fact be a turning point?
It is a small step, but important because at least there were twinges of potential initiative, again, in critical things that put us at odds with each other. And the other thing we need to do is we've got to find points of purchase, conduits, even if we don't agree and distrust, to get at some of these issues out there that are really dangerous, if you will, in this hyper distrustful atmosphere.
And finally, I want to ask you also about one of the topics that they say they did discuss at length, and that would be cooperation when it comes to conflicts, notably in Syria as well. When they discuss cooperation on that front, how concrete can it be, and how positive can they be moving forward and uniting on that front? Or is that just one place that they can start with having common ground?
Yeah, great question. First and foremost, I believe it's armed control. But yes, maybe there is some cooperation, coordination right now, deconfliction. You need to start with that to get to cooperation, because at that point you develop a conduit. And again, where there's a lot of disagreement, maybe those interlocutors trust each other's word at that ground level. And you need it worldwide, not just in Syria and in the West. You need it out anywhere the U.S. and Russia and its allies bump up against each other. You need those conduits because, again, it is just too darn dangerous out there. Too many weapons things could go very, very awry very quickly with an accident, an incident, let alone anything intended. That if a crisis ends up in Washington and Moscow, it may be too late in the cyber-fast world.
Well, we appreciate your insight and analysis today. Thank you. That is retired Brigadier General Peter Zwack, and he joined us from Washington.